Chapter 1. A Tale of Two Cities. Baldur's Gate began as a harbor town where traders would meet with ghost lighters, folk along the Sword Coast who used lights to lure fog-bound ships to shore. When those ships ran aground, the ghost lighters would scavenge the wrecks and haul their plundered goods to Baldur's Gate, nestled on the north shore of a bend in the river Kionthar, and sell their booty. In the years since, Baldur's Gate has grown into a walled city. Today, its foggy streets run red with the blood of unfortunates who fall prey to evil opportunists, many of whom count themselves as nobles, traders, pirates, and assassins. An army of mercenary soldiers called the Flaming Fist keeps order in the city, and these soldiers answer to Grand Duke Baldur Ravengard. The members of the Flaming Fist don't care about justice. They crave power and coin, nothing else. But despite the Fist's reputation for cruelty, the Grand Duke is widely regarded as an honorable and reasonable man. The city of Elturel, capital of Elturgard, is located much farther inland along the river Kionthar. Whereas Baldur's Gate has a well-earned reputation for being a nest of vipers, Elturel is seen as a beacon of faith, order, and high culture. The two cities have endured a long, bitter rivalry that originated when Baldur's Gate began stealing cargo and coin from ships heading to and from Elturel, stifling that city's sea trade. Though the conflicts between Baldur's Gate and Elturel have always fallen short of open warfare, relations between the cities have been tense for a long time. Too long, some would say. Fall of Elturel. A 10-day ago, Grand Duke Baldur Ravengard left Baldur's Gate with a company of Flaming Fist soldiers on a diplomatic mission to Elturel, accepting a formal invitation from Elturel's High Overseer, Thavius Krieg. Ravengard did not go eagerly, however. It took months of persuasion by his fellow dukes, the other three members of Baldur's Gate's ruling Council of Four, to convince him to accept Elturel's invitation and leave the city in their capable hands. Duke Thalamra Vanthampur was especially convincing, having gathered petitions from the nobility as well as leaders of the common rabble. Not long after Ravengard arrived in Elturel, the city was dragged down into the Nine Hells, wiped off the map. Given the distance between the two cities, it's no surprise that the residents of Baldur's Gate didn't hear of Elturel's fate until refugees from Elturgard started arriving. The Basilisk Gate. Welcome to Baldur's Gate, a veritable nest of rats and vipers clinging to the rocky slopes overlooking the Kionthar River. From their high perches in the upper city, the local nobles, known as patriarchs, gaze down with veiled contempt upon the common rabble in the grimy lower city which hugs the foggy harbor. The whole of Baldur's Gate reeks of blood, crime, and opportunity. One can easily fathom why pirates and traders are drawn to this place like flies to a carcass. Following the river farther east would eventually lead you to Elturel, capital of the Holy Land of Elturgard, or at least that was the case until a few days ago. The flood of refugees from Elturel has gotten worse since news first arrived that the city has fallen. Everyone is saying Baldur's Gate is next, but no one truly knows who or what has claimed Elturel. The patriarchs pay a mercenary army called the Flaming Fist to protect their interests in Baldur's Gate, and by extension, the city itself. The Flaming Fist has gained even more power since their charismatic leader, Baldur Ravengard, claimed the title of Grand Duke a few years ago. Apparently, Ravengard is missing. In his absence, the Flaming Fist has sealed the city's gates to staunch the flow of refugees. No one is allowed in or out. All of this was brought to your attention shortly after you were drafted by the Flaming Fist to help defend the city. Your orders are to speak to Captain Zodge at the Basilisk Gate, which pierces the city's eastern wall and takes its name from the various statues that rest in its niches and perch atop its battlements. Unseen beyond the sealed Basilisk Gate, a dirt road stretches through the outer city slums to the bridge known as Worm's Crossing, then to distant realms beyond. Dozens of Flaming Fist soldiers are trying to control an angry mob of commoners eager to leave the city. Armed with only a vague description of Captain Zodge, a tall man with long black hair and a leather eye patch, it takes you a while to find him. A fight breaks out between soldiers and commoners, and you finally spot the one-eyed captain as he wades into the fray and begins throwing punches. Just another day in the City of Blood.
The refugee crisis has stoked fears that Baldur's Gate might suffer the same fate as Elturel, of which nothing remains but a hole in the ground, apparently. Our Grand Duke, Older Ravengard, was visiting Elturel on a diplomatic mission when the city was destroyed. Coincidence? I think not. The Knights of Elturgard call themselves Hell Riders. A few of them escaped the destruction and think we're somehow to blame for Elturel's downfall. What a bunch of self-righteous rabble-rousers. We're arresting them on sight, but that's left us short-handed to deal with another problem. For that, I need your help. Baldur's Gate has long been plagued by followers of the Dead Three, the gods Bane, Baal, and Myrkul. I thought we had wiped them out, but apparently not. These purveyors of fear and death are taking advantage of the current crisis to commit murder sprees throughout the city. As my appointed deputies in this matter, you'll have license to kill these wretches on sight. Find their lair and wipe it out. Eliminate anyone who gets in your way, and don't worry about collateral damage. If you do what I say, I'll see that you each receive 200 gold pieces in addition to my gratitude, which is worth considerably more. A few blocks from the Basilisk Gate is Elfsong Tavern. A spy named Tarina hangs out there, gathering rumors for the guild. She owes me a favor, so tell her you work for me. Ask her what she knows about the Dead Three. And for the love of Baldurin, be nice. Tarina has dangerous friends.
Elfsong Tavern. Well-armed patrons, commoners and thugs mostly, huddle around tables in the main room and in private booths. 3 padded chairs are angled toward a fireplace on the east wall, underneath the creaky wooden staircase that climbs to the second floor. Some drunk is usually passed out on the couch against the north wall. Next to the couch sits a wooden sea chest that contains an assortment of games. Upstairs dining room. Lit lanterns hang from the rafters in this windowless room. Rugs cover the wooden floor and help dampen the noise from drunken patrons gathered around 2 large tables, eating and playing games of Baldur's Bones. One of the individuals seated at the table nearest the stairs is Tarina, the NPC whom the characters seek. Tarina listens to the characters' requests and agrees to help them on one condition if they stay at Elfsong Tavern to see if her pirates friends from the past who are looking for her to settle an old score with her to show up, then kill them all. After a short discussion, the gang agreed to help Tarina confront her pursuers. Meanwhile, they waited in the tavern and heard rumors as they listened to the drinking patrons.
I'll bet my last copper piece that those so-called refugees are advanced scouts for an army that's preparing to attack Baldur's Gate.
The Flaming Fist is decapitated. The captains have already started bickering over who should be in charge with older Ravengard gone.
With Ravengard out of the way, who'll be the next Grand Duke, I wonder? My money's on Thalamra Vanthampur. Practically born in the sewers she was, and more vicious than a swarm of rats.
After 2 hours of killing time in the tavern, 8 motley humans saunter into the tavern. The leader is a brawny man with a cloudy right eye, a cruel sneer, and a pirate's swagger. The others are an unsavory, rowdy bunch who act as if they own the place.
We're looking for an old friend of ours,
says the dead-eyed man. He sniffs the air.
Goes by the name Tarina, or so I'm told. Loves to cheat at Baldur's Bones.
Deadeye offers a tall glass of ale to anyone with information on Tarina's location, and several tavern patrons are quick to accept the offer. 2 pirates watch the exit to make sure Tarina can't escape, while the others attack anyone who gets in Deadeye's way.
Roll initiative.
Once her pirate friends are dealt with, Tarina shares the following information. Several blocks northwest of here is a public bathhouse with a walled garden and frolicking nymphs carved into its front gates. Followers of the Dead Three have been seen coming and going from the bathhouse, and I'm told there's a secret door inside that leads to a dungeon. That's where the killers are hiding.